Honestly, I want you to go first on this one.
On Mercedes?
Yeah.
It is Mercedes, isn't it? Yeah. So they keep George Russell, obviously, because George Russell is, Hamilton
I,
2,
I loved
2.0.
that pause, by the way. I just loved that pause. My prediction
Yes.
changes after every race. Whether what's going to happen in Mercedes after every race, I think, okay, maybe this thing is going to happen. Okay, maybe this thing is going to happen. So yeah, I'll
Yeah.
let you take the floor first.
So I think they keep George Russell. George Russell's their future. He's George Russell 2.0, or he's Lewis Hamilton 2.0 for that team.
Yeah.
And to be honest, although everything fell apart for him in Australia, Australia was one of the times where I looked at George's race and went, that guy is going to be a multiple world champion. Because even just he made the call to come into the pits. Unfortunately, the red flag came out, but his lunge at the start on, off the line, just everything was like
Stunning.
this guy's a next level future world champion. I think his teammate, though, won't be Lewis Hamilton, and this is my big surprise. I have a feeling that Lewis Hamilton could bow out halfway through the season. Not leave halfway through the season, not leave,
Okay.
but basically like decide that he's leaving halfway through the season. And this is obviously a massive amount of speculation, but here my reasoning is, right? If I was Lewis Hamilton, what's going to happen is obviously he's on a high after this weekend, but look what he looked like in the last two races, right? He just didn't look happy. On top of that, they're going to bring in a new package for Imola, and realistically, the new package probably won't work out of the box. So there's going to be some things that'll have to change. So they'll either work out of the box at a couple of races, and then they'll have a couple of races of disappointment, and he's going to see the Red Bulls and even Aston maybe getting further ahead, right? So he's going to say to himself, right, I can't win a championship probably until 2026. Let's be realistic. So in his head, then he looks at it and says, well, okay, I'm then guessing that this team will get it right for 2026. And even if they get it right, I'm then fighting a George Russell who's had 3 years to bet himself in, which means that we have to be a team playing, like proper team playing operation. And I don't think if George Russell's in a title fight, he's going to be a team player any more than Lewis Hamilton would be.
He's not anymore. Anyways, even this season, he was a bit pissed the way Lewis tried to overtake him at this on the first or second lap, something like that.
These and look, anyone who complains about that just needs to shut up. These are player competitive drivers. If they're not complaining, then they don't deserve the seat. Like they should be arguing for these positions.
Yeah. 100%.
So I think Lewis maybe sees the writing on the wall. He keeps saying he wants to fight for his 8th. I hate to say it, Hamilton fans, but look, he is the most successful driver in F1 history. That should be enough. The 8th title, I'm sorry, but I just can't see it coming. I've watched Formula One for long enough to know that a driver has his kind of run of success, and then it's just, it almost never comes back. And I'm trying to think of a time, even in F1 history, that it's come back, and it never has. Like, the only time when it happened is when you had Prost and Senna on and off, but that wasn't like Prost went on a run of 5 championships and then came back. It was like one, that kind of back and forth. Like Vettel, 4 championships gone. Alonso's still fighting for a championship. You know what I mean? So like,
Alonso is a freak. He's a total freak.
Yeah.
If he had a bit, if he was a people's person a bit, no, he would have a lot. He would have a few more titles. But the man loves to burn bridges. He just loves to burn bridges.
He also just very unlucky. He was 4 points away from 4 titles, something like that. So like he's just unlucky.
2007, 11. No, 2007, 10, and 12.
10. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just unlucky. But this is the thing. So I think unless the package that Mercedes show up with is much closer to Red Bull and he can actually sniff, like, obviously he's not going to sniff a title this year, but if he can kind of go, There's a chance I'll get it next year. Then he'll sign one more contract. And I don't think that Mercedes is being exactly accurate. I think he's waiting for the upgrade package before
Hmm.
signing his new contract. And
Hmm.
that's why I could see him kind of pushing it and pushing it and then going, yeah, I'm going to bow out, because I can't see him going anywhere else. So I'm going to replace him. And this is where I think you're going to be even more surprised. I'm going to replace him with Mick Schumacher. I think they give Mick Schumacher a year. And I think it's because,
What?
yep. And I think it's because, one, I think Mick Schumacher does have some talent, but I think Haas managed it poorly. And two, they don't need another Hamilton. They need another Bottas. And I think Toto could manage a Schumacher into a Bottas, if that makes sense. Or, so I
Wow.
think they give Schumacher a
You,
year.
you know,
Also,
in
he's
a
a
single
German
statement,
driver.
you've
It's a Mercedes brand.
thrown Bottas under the bus.
I've just
Bottas had
upset two
multiple
fan
podiums
bases.
before he sniffed a Mercedes drive.
Yeah.
Oh God. I mean,
Listen,
that's a bold,
if you want,
bold
you can just
prediction.
clip that whole rant out.
Wow.
Yeah, if you
Look, it
want, you
might
can.
happen. By the way,
If
it might happen. Even I'm not counting it out.
it won't, but I had to have one bold prediction. So if you want, you can clip that out, put it on Twitter, and you'll probably, that'll be my YouTube channel gone.
Yeah. You don't want me to put any anti-Hamilton stuff on my Twitter, trust me. The whole cult LH, they raid my account whenever I post anything that is even remotely critical. I wrote a tweet that Vettel, that in 2018 no driver was going to win a title in that Ferrari,
Yeah.
and it infuriated them. They said Hamilton was going to win, and they went. And I think I had like, I think 500 or 600,000 impressions, views, whatever, on that tweet. And and after a while I had muted, and I came back a few days later to see what was going on. And there were tons of quote tweets, retweets, comments, abuses, a lot of them. And everyone
Yeah.
thinks it's probably a abuse to call me the casual fan. And I just laugh it off. But yeah, they are very sensitive in that sense.
Yeah. My Twitter literally in my bio just says, if my views offend you, don't read them, obviously. So,
Yeah, no,
it's
it's
like,
it's it's good. It's a good thing. It's a waste of time, and
I
I try to keep a tab on it. But I am a bit aggressive in nature. Probably that's why I end up retaliating a lot.
at the
I
end of
don't
the
like
day, for
disrespect. If
me,
someone
right,
comes up with a snide remark, he
like
gets it back.
yeah, at the end of the day, in a lot of my videos, I'll praise like Max Verstappen when I think he's done an incredible job at something, or I'll talk about how good of a driver he is. He's a generational talent. And then I
Hmm.
get people in the comments calling me a Max fanboy and I'm an idiot and all this
Oh,
stuff.
yeah,
And then when I do the same and I
that's the
go,
funny thing,
Hamilton is,
I mean,
if I
you
do
know
the
what?
same though about Hamilton, I then get
Hmm.
comments saying I'm a Hamilton fanboy. And it's like, no, I'm just appreciating and respecting all the drivers. That's
Yeah.
it. you know?
I mean, I what I get is now, because I also write for Sportskeda. So when I do these driver ratings or all these things, they are posted on their Facebook page. At that particular section, or even on Instagram, I tend to get, you are a, no, they call me a British journalist because apparently I have British bias. I mean, I I can't stop laughing on that. And then when I move to Twitter, I'm a Max Verstappen fan. So I tend to do
Mhm.
this whenever someone abuses that. Okay, you're a Max Verstappen fan, you're a Lewis Hamilton hater. I've started posting screenshots of me being called a
Yeah.
British journal from
Yeah.
Facebook to Twitter, and they're like,
I
no, I don't believe it. That might be a one-off comment. And I get, dude, you've made up your mind. I'm not going to waste my time on this. Keep it
it's
whatever you want.
literally, these people have made up their mind before even commenting, so it's a waste of time replying. But yeah, I've
Yeah,
gotten a shit, like, literally, it's so funny because as well, I've had my own subscribers like reply and be like, this guy's a Red Bull fan, you're a moron, when I've been called like a Hamilton fan just because I've said something nice about Hamilton.
yeah,
Because I genuinely, most of the time, I'm like, you know genuinely think he's one of the best drivers in history. And
Oh
Obviously,
yeah, for sure.
statistically, he is like. But
Yeah,
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 when
for sure.
I remember the only one I replied to was someone was like, "The level of British bias here is ridiculous." I just replied with, "Please go read the 800 years of Irish history under British colonialism," and before saying this
Oh
retarded
God.
shit. Like,
Look, the thing is, most of the people don't even know. They don't know about. They don't know about most of the history. I mean, to be honest, the people on F1
ah,
Twitter, I don't think they know anything other than the kind of ridiculous trend that goes around these days. They
yeah,
are basically very limited on that front. They don't read. They don't read, to be bluntly honest. They are just they read the headline, they get outraged, and they go ahead.
yeah.
I've
I,
seen. I mean, yeah.
I know this
Anyways,
is.
it's a
I,
touchy subject for me as
I
well.
know. I know this isn't F1 related, but the last thing I'll say on it is kind of funny as well because a lot of people just when they hear Irish they just assume British because Northern Ireland is still part of
Yeah.
England, so that, or part of the UK. So like
Hmm.
all the time that happens. But I do find it really funny that when I think back to my history in school, we literally learned like my mother's English, right? My dad's Irish, and he like
Yeah.
brought us. He was like, "No, we're staying in Ireland. Like we're not moving to the UK because he. It's really funny. He's married to a British woman, but he hates the British. Right? How it works, I don't know. But in our school, we learned all about English colonialism and how they took over like India, like Hong Kong, all these different places, and all the
Hmm.
horrible things they did throughout history.
Yeah.
And in my mother's school, she knows nothing about it. They didn't teach any
That's
of it.
the
And I'm like,
thing.
that's so funny how they
It's
just
almost it's
blank.
almost as if they are oblivious to the. I mean, should we get into it? We are going to bore away a few
Probably
fans.
not. Probably not.
Whoever sticks around this long.
Yeah.
because
Maybe
because I can
let's
I
talk
can
about.
because I can just get into it and talk about history because I'm a bit of a nerd on that front, but I don't think people will be interested to know that. We
No,
let's get the train back on track. Yeah. So in your view, it's Jesus. How long did we go on that? I think we went on a tangent
a
for a
few
10 to
minutes.
15 minutes for
It's
Lewis
okay.
Hamilton. I mean, but that's what Lewis does. I mean, Lewis is the kind of. I mean, I honestly, while you're predicting that he will retire, I hope he doesn't because the kind of
No.
content he brings and the kind of engagement he brings, no other driver does. That hurts. That would
True.
hurt my wallet a bit if he does leave. So I hope he doesn't. That is one thing. Yeah. Anyhow.
Because you're a British journalist.
Oh God.
So are you? So you think Lewis is staying? Then I'm guessing.
No, no. I don't. I don't think he retires. I'll get to it. In my view, the next season driver lineup for Mercedes is going to be George Russell and Charles Leclerc. Now, I'm not going to. Probably, I should. I think let's just combine both Ferrari and Mercedes driver lineups in this case because, in my view, what is going to happen is, I think I agree with one thing from your side. Lewis knows that the writing is on the wall at Mercedes because Russell is improving, and he's smart enough to know that a young 25-year-old charger and him at 38, 39, even if he is able to perform, even if he's able to you know be at the top of his game, you'll have to give some edge to Russell because he'll improve as time goes on.
Yeah.
Plus Mercedes will also hedge its bets on the future. Look, Lewis has made it clear, eighth title and I'm gone.
Hmm.
So if that is the kind of narrative he wants to go ahead with, then why is Mercedes going to why is Mercedes going to invest in Lewis when he's leaving in a year while there is Russell with whom they can build another dynasty? That is one thing. Second thing that I don't think it caught much eye, but apparently Toto Wolff and Mercedes are not too happy with Lewis's comments in the first two races. He's come out
Yeah.
and he's come out and said that if Lewis wants to leave, he can leave. Basically, it was roughly on those lines. Secondly, Toto, if you heard the team radio at the end of the race, Toto wasn't ecstatic when Lewis got the P2.
Hmm.
He wasn't, and I was surprised because I've seen the same reaction when Bottas used to win. Lewis would come second or would not have a good result. That was a big surprise for me. Then apparently there are rumors that the Mercedes team was not at the podium ceremony or something like this.
Mhm.
Plus the fact that Lewis basically charges $1 million per week for his services, and then you have a driver that is producing the same performance or maybe even better at, I think, 18th. I think it's 18 times less that Russell gets paid when it is compared to
Mhm.
Lewis, something like this. I forgot the number, or 8 times
Yeah.
less, something
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you have this kind of disparity, the balance sheet doesn't add up.
No.
And that's where I think, yeah, sure, go ahead. So that's where I think it ultimately, the question will be, both parties are not entirely happy with each other. Now, Mercedes, I do feel Mercedes is starting to improve. I don't know how it ultimately pans out this season, but what Lewis will be looking at is, look, is 38. Arguably, if Mercedes has a championship winning car, Russell is winning. Now, this is going to infuriate a lot of Lewis fans. I know, but I think Russell is winning. At that point in time, what he's going to try to do is he's going to do what would be a second roll of the dice. He did it when he moved from McLaren to Mercedes. Not many people remember that even at that point in time, he was a bit pissed that Button was matching him and sometimes showing him up.
Mhm.
Everyone remembers what happened at Spa when he
Yeah.
showed posted the goddamn telemetry on Twitter. He doesn't like being beaten by a teammate, and the challenge was there. So at that
Yeah.
point, he moved from McLaren to Mercedes. I think this time around, he's going to make a move from Mercedes to Ferrari.
Right. Okay.
And at the same time, I think he'll come with the caveat that I want to perform a switch with Charles Leclerc, because he does not want to move from a team where there is George Russell to a move from where to a team where there is Charles Leclerc, because it's basically the same challenge, probably worse because Charles is already bedded in Ferrari.
Yeah.
That is the switch that is going to happen. And Ferrari will take him in a heartbeat. I don't think there's any team on the grid that will not take Lewis. If Lewis comes knocking, they will take. Other than Red Bull, Red Bull is never taking him. But other than that, every other team is going to be ecstatic to pick up Lewis. So that's the switch that I think is going to happen. I think Charles Leclerc and George Russell will be teammates at Mercedes, because again, Charles is pissed off at Ferrari. He
Yep.
he's angry, he's frustrated, and more or less he sees the team regressing. He's not
Mhm.
really thinking on those lines. What Lewis is probably looking at is, look, Lewis sees Fernando as an inspiration because Fernando hasn't really lost much of his speed at 41. He's not in his prime.
Yeah.
Let's not mistake ourselves on that. His qualifying speed is not there. But somewhere he sees that he can probably do another long term project with Ferrari, and maybe even if he gets one title, he betters Michael Schumacher, and he also, in a way, emulates what Schumacher did. Schumacher won a title with Ferrari after around a 20-year barren period for the team. If Lewis is able to do the same thing with around, I think they've not won a title since 16 years. If it does the same thing, he's probably
Yeah.
aiming to be the undisputed GOAT. So that will be the entire logic behind it. It's a
Well,
fantasy world, but if it
if
works, I mean, I'll be more than happy.
yeah, and I was going to say as well, if anyone thought that talking about the history of British colonialism was depressing, we're now talking about Ferrari, and I think that's equally depressing at this stage.
Oh God.
Um,
Yeah.
that's an interesting one.
Oh
See,
God.
I've got Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz to stay at Ferrari,
Hmm.
but funny enough, when I did think about what were Charles Leclerc's options, it was either take Lewis's seat or take Perez's seat. And I didn't see either of those actually panning out. But the
Hmm.
way you're talking about it, it could work in terms of just a straight swap. The reason I wouldn't see
Yeah.
Lewis going there is just I think Lewis likes his kind of, he likes to be able to push for his own causes. He likes, all that side of things. He has that kind of life outside of Formula One. And I
Yeah.
think Ferrari is very restrictive in like, no, the team comes first.
Team
And I
comes
don't
first.
know if that would work with him.
Yeah.
But in saying that, given how poorly Ferrari are performing at the moment, they
Yeah.
may look the other way to get Lewis in because of the marketing, simply the marketing value of it. You know, it's a huge,
No
huge
one
win.
comes close. No one
Yeah,
comes
no.
close to Lewis. He's the, I think it was Senna who was a superstar, then it was Michael, then it is
Hmm.
Lewis. No one
Yeah,
has come close to that kind of fame and global outreach. Spectacular. I mean,
no.
look at his numbers. I mean, look at his followers on Twitter or Instagram. They are like twice the second guy, and crazy following, crazy. The
Yeah,
man transcends. I mean, he broke the glass ceiling. Let's be very honest. A black driver getting into Formula One and being as dominant as he is, and his debut season is arguably the best ever. The
incredible,
man, he deserves
incredible.
his flowers, whatever he gets.
Oh, like, listen, at the end of the day, even if he walked away tomorrow, he would still be remembered as the greatest driver in F1 history. Like, I mean, at the even like he's
Mhm.
tied on titles with Schumacher, but he's not tied on wins. Like he's ahead in wins, poles,
Far ahead.
podiums,
I think 12
everything.
or 15 wins ahead,
So
something like that.
this is my thinking is like, you know, I think he didn't really talk much about the 8 titles before what happened in 21, and I think since then it's become like a thing that he clearly wants to kind of right that ship.
Yeah.
But I think at some point that's going to wear off, and that's why I think he'll kind of start going, oh, screw it, like I'll just walk away. But you're right. As for Ferrari, I think they stick with the same lineup, and I say that in a kind of a depressing tone because that's really depressing for Charles Leclerc because I don't know
Yeah.
if they'll get any better. But I also just don't know where Charles Leclerc goes until next, like until 25, say. So
Yeah.
because I
Yeah,
can't see,
look, Red Bull is fixed.
yeah,
Max is not going to have
and
any compet. I don't think it makes sense as well to
I
put another alpha in the same team.
And I think that Max probably, likely in his long contract extension to 2028, probably has a first right of like refusal on teammates. I would
Yeah,
be surprised if, because and if they turn around and said
for
we want to
sure.
hire Max or Charles or we want to hire Lando, that
Hmm.
Max has to okay at first. And I think if they say we're going to hire Charles, I think Max says no, no way. Like this is my team, basically. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for Charles in a way. I just like to point out on Twitter, I don't feel sorry for Charles. He's a multimillionaire driving in his favorite sport. So can we stop feeling sorry for these people? But I do feel bad for him that he doesn't seem to have a place to go.
I
You
mean,
know.
yeah. I mean, people living in Monaco, it's hard to feel sorry for them, right? People living in tax havens, basically.
No, but it's like not to stick on Lewis too much here because I will, but I think I can understand why like Lewis was hard done by with what happened in 2021, that
Yeah.
call by, you know, by Massey and everything. But it is funny that people are arguing for Lewis as if they're arguing for someone who's gone through political persecution. Like this is, we just need to remember that at the end of the day, this still is a multi-millionaire earning 50 million a year who flew away from that on a private jet and still gets to drive in the coolest sport in the world. Like, let's not pretend these people are, you know, like charity cases by any means. It is a sport at the end of the day.
I
So
mean,
people
even
need
if
to calm
we
down.
talk about, even in terms of drivers, the top drivers that have ever driven for any team, Lewis hasn't driven in a team, in a midfield team ever in his career.
Yeah.
I other than Fangio, I don't think I can name any driver that has that kind of a record that he's never driven for a midfield team ever in his entire career.
Yep.
Can
So
I mean no one.
no,
Michael did the first
most
year I think
drivers
Benetton
started
was
in
a
a midfield
midfield.
team.
Yeah, midfield or back markers.
Yeah.
Alonso
Yeah.
started in a Minardi.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get more back marker than that.
So
I mean,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, when you talk about it and when you think on the lines of the kind of I don't know if it is even appropriate to use the word privilege, but the kind of cars that Lewis has had in his career, no other driver has had. It's unprecedented in every which way. There is no driver that has that kind of.
Yeah,
17
and
years
also
now.
and
17,
also and
16,
also just to
2007 to
clarify,
16, 17 years. Yeah.
just to clarify as well for anyone who kicks off on Twitter at me saying this as well. My point is not that they haven't earned it, because Lewis earned it. He worked really hard to get where he
Oh, yeah.
has. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is people who are acting like losing a world championship for Lewis is akin to, like, the way they talk about it is like it's, I'm trying to think of something, but it's like, it's like a political asylum or something, or like someone's been, you know I can't even think, but they're akinning it to like these horrible situations. And it's like, look, he was hard done by, but he still flew away from that on a private jet. So can we stop
Yeah.
feeling sorry for these people? It's not like
I
it's
mean,
a
yeah,
sport,
that's the whole thing.
you know.
I mean, it's a robbery. There is no doubt about it that it's a robbery. But come on. I mean, and the thing is, you see the hypocrisy of these people when you mention what happened with Felipe Massa in 2008. To me, that is also a robbery.
Yeah,
We we
100%.
ha- we have we have a, pardon the words, we have a fucking fixed race deciding a world championship. What the fuck are we doing here? And
Yeah,
th- and I mean, the same people that argue, okay, 80 2021 was this or that, they'll come up with the same bullshit logic that okay, this was fine, it's too late. Dude, you're acting like a goddamn hypocrite. And there are people with 30 to 40,000 Twitter followers who will act like 8021 was the black mark in Formula 1 history. But apparently it's fine that what happened with Felipe Massa in 2008. Dude,
yeah,
both suck. That's the bottom line. Both of them suck. Both of them are horrible, and both of them showed the ugly side of Formula 1. And
yeah.
that is there. We accept it and we move on because
There is
that
like,
that is it. You can't really do much about it.
and this, like, obviously I don't want to stick with this too long because we still have more teams to talk about, but
Yeah.
there is just that
20
it
25
just
minutes we've
seems
gone on
silly to
this.
me.
That's what Lewis does.
Yeah,
So much fucking content on the
but
same goddamn guy.
it just seems silly to me though, that the way people talk about it, and now they're going to bring it up with the Massa thing, for example, right? And they'll argue about this all day, and they'll talk about how it's a terrible thing and all these horrible things. But I'm like, that's nuts. But then I'm also like, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not like, it was innocent people being killed. It was a sport. So can we address it as such? You know what I mean? Like, can we go,
you're going to
okay,
you're going to
that,
infuriate a lot of people when you're going to
yeah,
compare
like, but
this.
it's literally, you have these morons on Twitter who are talking about Abu
Yeah,
Dhabi at a time when people in Ukraine are being killed, and they're saying basically Abu Dhabi 21 is the most important thing going on right now, and it's like, it's a
like
sport.
seriously. I
Please
mean, yeah.
stop. Like,
I mean,
it's
anyways,
just, it's
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. Let's put a tab on that. I mean,
yeah.
enough, enough. Lewis, Abu Dhabi, Mercedes. I mean, this is what Lewis does. 32. I think we went on for around 20 25 minutes on this on Lewis.
We should also say it's not what Lewis does; it's what a certain segment of his fans do.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk about it as much.
He never talks about it. And
Exactly.
look, he's a classy human being. Let's be very very. I mean, the day I earned utmost respect for Lewis was 2017 Hungarian Grand Prix, where he let Bottas through on the last lap.
Hmm.
That's Max won't do it. Vettel won't do it. Alonso will never do it. And who else? Senna never did it. Michael never. Michael did the other thing. Prost will not do it. Lauda won't do it. Fangio changed. Fangio took his teammate's car. I mean, if you talk about class, that is class. That is what
Yeah.
ultimately Lewis stands for and what he should be remembered for. Because he compromised his own championship. He gave up, he forfeited how many? I think it would be a 6 point gap. 3 point swing. He let that
Hmm.
happen because he gave his word that he'll return the position.
Yeah.
No one does it. And that's where he got my respect. Of
Yeah.
course, the other things, his fans are insufferable, to be honest, but that's the other, that's some other day. Yeah. Anyways, moving from Mercedes, Ferrari. Okay, so let's just to recap. Ferrari, it's in your view, it will be Carlos
The
Sainz and
same.
Charles Leclerc, right?
Yeah. For one
In
more
my
year.
view, it will be Lewis Hamilton
For
and
one more year. Yeah.
Carlos Sainz. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I'm sticking with. In case of Mercedes, I'm going with George Russell and Charles Leclerc. And you've made a mega prediction when it comes to Mercedes. It will be George Russell and Mick Schumacher. Look, if that happens, I'll buy you a beer, but I don't think it will happen.
It'll be insane.
Look, for a Michael Schumacher fan, anything good that happens to Mick, I'm more than happy. Because look, what happened with Michael, and I think I agree with the statement that both Ralph and Toto have made, that if Michael was around, the shit that went down at Haas, it would not have probably happened. I don't
Yeah.
think it would have happened.
No,
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
think so.
everyone remembers how Michael just stormed into Eddie Jordan's quarters at Belgium when he ordered that. Who was it? It was Damon, right? Damon Hill. He ordered Ralph Schumacher to stay behind Damon and not overtake him for the win.
Yeah.
1997 or 98. I don't remember which year it was.
It was,
He
I
did
think it was
that.
90,
If
it
he
was
is doing,
98, wasn't it? I think.
I think when he himself had that huge crash with Coulthard, that was the race, right? He
Yeah,
was
I
already
think it was
angry,
98, if I'm not
so
mistaken.
probably that helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if he can do this for his brother, just imagine what he's going to do for his son. So yeah, that is
I don't
okay.
think,
Close. Yeah, sure. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think, I don't think his son would have been driving for Haas in the first place. I think Michael would have told him to wait a year
He would have been driving
to
for Sauber.
somewhere else.
I think he would have been
Yeah.
driving for Sauber, and he probably would not have signed with Ferrari. He would have signed with Mercedes from the get go. It was a massive
Yeah.
mistake to, because he had both the options when he won the Formula 3 championship. It was both Mercedes and Ferrari. He went with
Yeah.
Ferrari.
Yeah.
Idiot.
I don't think he would have.
Anyways, yeah, moving from this, I think for Ferrari, I don't, you've already shared, right? It will
Yep.
be, okay. Sorry. So
The same
Ferrari is done,
lineup.
Mercedes is done. Sorry, I've lost track completely. Now